Happy Camper Radio, episode 53. Come on, let's go camping. I get so excited every time I hear that music playing, and Daniel, he's just dancing up a storm here at camp today, and he must be having a really good day for sure.
I'm going down.
Let's turn your microphone up, Daniel, so we can hear you. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I have no complaints. I have no gripes at all. In fact, you know, Daniel, today was the very first day that we actually turned on the air conditioner in the house.
Ooh.
So that means brighter days are ahead.
Ah.
And all those nasty winter storms, the ones that kept people at home and held up traffic and got everybody's stomach in a real twist. I think those days are going to be gone at least for another 6 to 8 months, and then we're going to start the process all over again.
I was fine. I was sledding down the street the whole time, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's because you had the day off. You've got a government job. You can get away with that, Daniel. You know.
You had a government job, Skip.
At one time,
people that story.
I wised up. All right. Hey, we've got a great camp story today for everybody, or should I say a great camp subject. And I really think our listeners are going to get into this. And Daniel, we have the ladies aboard with us today, don't we?
Yeah.
You sound very excited about that.
My wife is here.
Deidre, how are you today?
I'm good. You better be glad that I'm here.
Well, I'm delighted that you're here. As far as the argument between you two, I'm staying out of it.
Okay, look, Skip, we have a thing.
Daniel, I'm going to stay on my end of the camp.
Okay, good. Okay. When she misbehaves, I start to take off my ring, and then she'll behave,
and then I
put
roll
it back
my
on.
eyes because who else is going to take him?
Whatever.
Yeah, Deidre, I heard you rolling your eyes last week, and I'm starting to hear it again.
Can you pick that up on the mic? Can the eye roll be picked up on the audio?
I can pick it up in my headphones. Yeah. Hey, you know who else we have with us today? And we haven't heard from her since, Daniel, what was that episode? I think it was the tailgating party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Lori.
Boy.
Hello, Lori, and welcome.
Hello, happy campers.
We are so happy to have you here in the studio today.
Well, thank you, and I am here with my faithful happy camper dog, Harper.
We can't forget him. Please don't dress him up again.
No.
Okay, I
Come
can't.
on
No.
now, Skip, really? It's so much fun.
Camper dog, anyway. Yeah.
That's right. And if
Okay.
I could get him to bark, I would, but he's totally untrained, so...
Well,
Yep.
we'll give him a dog biscuit if he promises to behave.
He's panting, but that's about it.
Hey, our phone number here is 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Happy Camper Radio. Follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker and add us to your circles on Google+. Of course, you can access any one of our social media sites very simply by going to our homepage, which is www.happycamperradio.com. By all means, click on the RSS feed if you haven't already done that. That way you can subscribe to the program and you'll never miss a single episode of the show. Daniel, it's time to get the campfire lit. I will take the honors today. Yes.
There you go. Woo. I got some of my arm hair burned off there.
Daniel, even for a non-camper like Lori, all right, she does enjoy a good fire.
Boy, you want to get into it right away, don't you?
Yeah,
Just
apparently
gonna get down.
does.
We're not even gonna get to the subject. We're just gonna start yelling at each other.
Yeah, let's welcome to the smackdown.
Should we stay on our end of the camp?
It may end up being that way. It may end up being that way after I get into the subject matter, because I know we have at least one person in the room that is not crazy about this subject matter, but we've got to weigh in all angles of it. Hey, before we get into that, though, let's take a moment to shout out to some brand new listeners to the program who reached out to us on social media this week. We want to say hello, first of all, to Amado Aguilar of Cypress, Texas, who likes us on Facebook, and also to the folks at Road Trip Nation of Costa Mesa, California. Thank you all so very much for reaching out to the Happy Camper Radio Show and joining us here at camp. All right, Daniel, this may come as a surprise to you. I know this one went over your head when I first brought it up to you, and maybe you didn't think I was serious about it. But I want to talk about a subject matter today that is a little unusual, but it's not unheard of.
Unusual, Skip? That's so unlike you.
Well, it all depends on what you perceive of this. Today, Daniel, we are going to talk about, with the weather turning nice like it is, the leaves coming back on the trees, and the flowers blooming, and the breath of fresh air of spring right there in our face, we are going to talk about campground weddings. What do you think about that?
I have
Daniel,
no problem with it. If that's your forte, then
that even got the rest of the audience here at camp all excited.
Yeah, it did.
It certainly did. Now, Daniel, I want to bring this up because I did a little research on it. I don't know, it came to my mind not very long ago. Mm-hmm. And I says, let me see. Of course, I've never been to a campground wedding. Do they actually exist? And you'll be amazed when you do an internet search of it. Yes, those wedding type of receptions and ceremonies, they do exist. Some people do get into those.
You know what I think of when I think of campground weddings? I think of that website on I Can't Have Cheeseburgers, of those weddings where like everyone's in like Duck Dynasty, or like they're all in camo, or they're like themed or something.
Why does that have to be?
I don't know. I just see a big old group of let's just say country folk.
Why wouldn't you think of nature?
Oh, nature.
Fall.
Maybe they're dressed as the elements. Maybe one is dressed as winter. Maybe dressed as summer.
Maybe it's really cool and retro. Maybe they have a cool Airstream.
All the hipsters are doing it nowadays.
Well, since we do have a married couple here in the studio, let me just throw this out to you. If you two had to do it again, would you possibly consider getting married at a campground? Or even if not getting married, possibly renewing your vows at a campground?
Is the campground in Hawaii? Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got married on the beach, and I mean, we pitched a tent. Would that be considered a campground? I mean, we're all about getting married out, out in the open.
We never had this discussion. You actually got married on the beach. Was it in Hawaii?
Yeah, it was in Hawaii.
Why would you want to go back?
Because it was gorgeous.
Yes. Come on now, Skip.
Hawaii actually would probably be a beautiful place to camp.
It would. Yes.
I'm not saying it's beautiful. Okay, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's gorgeous. I've seen the pictures, and I have this Hawaii 5.0. I'm talking about the one back in the '60s,
the original one,
including the one that's on television today. And yes, I mean the photographs are beautiful and everything, but for me, it is way too hot over there.
Oh, see, I love
How hot do you think it is, Skip?
Too hot for me to be there, Daniel.
It is 86 degrees, and it doesn't go higher. It gets hotter in Georgia. You know that, right? I'm just saying.
Humidity.
And guess what? There's no bugs. There are no bugs in Hawaii.
And you may be right.
And everyone's fit. Everyone's fit and exercising.
Okay, well, that answers that question.
Okay, well, there's a few.
Lori, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor to you. What do you think of campground weddings? Do you think they're cool? Do you think they are uncool? I'm going to go ahead and let you speak your mind.
So here we go, folks. All right, Skip, is this going to be a new chapter for Emily Post to create on the campground weddings? I mean, really? No, I think they're horrible. I think they're tacky.
Lori, say yes to the campground. Instead of say yes to the dress, say yes to the campground. They'll pick out a campground for you to get married at.
Daniel,
it's not the dress anymore. The dress is so last year.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, what does a bride wear to a campground wedding?
Whatever she wants to wear. She could wear an expensive white wedding dress, or she could go in camo.
Because she belongs in the kitchen.
She could go in a tank top and shorts. I mean, it's however you feel comfortable.
Oh my God.
Keep this in mind. And we're gonna go into this today. All right. And here's some things I really want to weigh in on. First of all, wedding ceremonies are performed in many different venues. Now, we all know that the common place where people get married is a church or a chapel.
Right.
But weddings have also occurred in rose gardens. I've got married outdoors. We had a garden wedding. I'm going back to 1981 now. And it was a very beautiful wedding. I have no complaints about that at all. Yes, we did have the beautiful wedding dress, and we had the tuxedos, and it turned out to be a beautiful day. Folks get married outdoors by waterfalls. I've heard of people skydiving and getting married. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of people scuba diving and getting married.
I was the one that told you about the sky.
Oh, Lori, come on! You can't tell them know all our inside baseball.
So it can't be that bad of a thing. All right.
Well, I mean, Skip, what do you mean? Okay, you say getting married at a campground. I mean, what's the difference between getting married at a campground and getting married at a place where there's camping, but there's also nature? I mean, what are you classifying as campground, and what are you classifying as just nature in general?
I'm basically saying that it is, in my opinion, if you want to get married at a campground where camping is going on, there's nothing wrong with that. I am saying that it does exist today. Some people do it. There are folks out there, and we just went through a whole list of things here, places where weddings are performed. The cheapest way to go, and a lot of people go this route, is the justice of the peace. And this
That's
happens.
kind of what we did.
That's how my mom got married.
Hey, that happens all the time.
On Halloween.
My mom got married by the justice of the peace.
Your
on
mother,
Halloween.
okay? Well, I know a lot of people that get married
And
by
they
the justice of
trick-or-treated
the peace.
afterwards. So
No, we had a Halloween party. Thank you very much.
The
Oh,
bottom
whatever.
line of it all is the fact that a couple is legally married when it's all over.
Yep.
Regardless of where you had the ceremony done. Whether it be at a campground or any one of those places we just mentioned. Now let's talk about the wedding receptions. Look at some places where wedding receptions take place. You can get a very expensive resort and rent that out for the day. You're going to fork over a lot of money to do that. You can have a reception in a 5-star hotel. There are wedding receptions I've heard in residential backyards.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my aunt did.
If you don't want to spend the money. And then, of course, if you want to go the cheap way out, you can rent a local banquet hall. Or
that's
maybe
what we
even,
did. That's what we did.
Or
Or
maybe
go
even a
camping.
fire hall.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places, and I don't mean to be sounding like I'm sort of a self-proclaimed expert on this matter, because I'm not by a long
Absolutely.
shot. But I can tell you this, and Daniel and Deidre, I don't think I have ever shared this with you. I know I've shared it with Lori, that many years ago, long before I was in law enforcement, long before I was in radio, I'm going back long before I even got married. I actually started my entertainment career by working as a DJ, a freelance DJ at weddings and parties. Yes, we didn't play that kind of music, Daniel.
Oh, you didn't like scratch
No,
the
no,
record.
no.
You were like waka waka waka.
I never got
Before
into
that, Daniel,
but I
way
did
before
a lot of different parties, and I met a lot of great people over the years. One of the most common events that I played records at was at wedding receptions. And I can tell you this, I have met people from all walks of life.
Did you do any camping wedding receptions?
Oh, come on, Lori. That's a cheap shot.
But Lori, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something that was close to it. We
How
had
close?
we had a wedding reception that was on an island on the river, and we had to load my gear onto a boat.
Ooh.
And go to the island where they had a generator for me to plug my equipment into, and they had a table and everything all set up, and we had a great time there.
That's not camping.
No, it's not camping, but I'm saying that was close to it.
That's not
All
even
right.
close.
Maybe they,
But let me
tents afterward.
say this. I, over the years, have seen the best and the worst of wedding receptions.
No, you
I have
haven't.
seen
Tell us
weddings
more, Skip.
where we have gone to these expensive resorts, and I had folks there to help me unload my gear. I mean, there were people who were working there that were assigned to help out, and they were helping me haul my gear in. It doesn't get any sweeter than that.
Right.
Had valet parking, no problem. They had everything that I needed there, the best food, the best of everything. I have seen wedding receptions, and I hate to bring this up, but it's a matter of fact. I have been to a wedding reception already where I saw the bride and her parents walk out on the groom.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
And you thought it was worse than that? I'm going to tell you something else I saw, and this is every bride's nightmare. Kids at these wedding receptions can get a little bit out of hand. I remember the one young fellow, he was a ring bearer in this one wedding reception, and he got out on the dance floor. He was having a good time. He was spinning around, and I know his mother told him on a few occasions, hey, settle down, take it easy. And he ended up swirling around and got a little bit too close to the table that housed this 3-tier wedding cake.
Ooh.
Do I need to go further?
Yeah.
He kicked out the table. The
audio.
leg
Come
on
on,
this
we can't
table,
see this in our
the
mind without
cake
description.
hit the floor, and the bride was devastated. She was absolutely devastated. I'm telling you, it was.
Skip,
it was
I don't know
terrible.
what the big deal was. They had 10 seconds to get it off the floor before the germs attack it. Or is it 5 seconds? 5-second rule. Everyone knows that if you pick it up within 5 seconds, you're good to go. They had 5 seconds. There was all those people there. You had 5 seconds.
On the upside, she has a really funny story to tell.
Exactly.
I
Isn't
would
that what
hope-
it's all about?
Well,
I want to
you-
know if the little ring bearer got spanked or not.
I don't know. I never even saw him after that. I think
thinking,
the
yeah.
mother, the ring bearer, and the family probably snuck very quietly out the door. When
Good
that was
idea.
that probably was the best of an idea.
They could have salvaged some of it. I would have salvaged it. It was like a cake we
anyway,
had.
these are things that do happen at wedding receptions. But before we go into the idea of getting married at a campground, here's some things. We're going to do a little bit of cost comparison here. Now, I do not know exactly what it costs to pay for a traditional wedding and wedding reception. I know it's going to cost a whole lot of
Oh,
money.
but you're gonna
And when
find
my
out
daughter's
really
I know
soon.
you were going to bring that up, Lori. I know I'm going to find out
You've
someday.
got a daughter that's getting ready to get married. You're
Oh,
gonna
really? I
find
didn't know
out,
that.
honey. Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that you do have to consider, especially if you're going to make that day very special for your little girl.
Oh, you are going to make that day.
Is that how
so
you're planning
special
your
for
daughter's
her.
wedding? Is your daughter having a camping wedding?
No,
You're going to try
she
to
is
convince
not.
her?
No.
Like, look, listen, dear, we had a
Three?
show and we thought it was a really good idea.
3 out of 4 people agreed. Campground weddings were cool if you wanted.
In a random double-blind survey.
Not to
I'll
worry,
put it to you
Kelly.
like
Lori
this.
is here, and I've got your back, baby.
I'll put it to you like this. If she comes up and says, Dad, I want a campground wedding, I will give her the most outstanding
That's how you know she's
campground
yours.
wedding that she will ever dream of.
Don't hold
wait.
your breath waiting for that.
Skip might do a little happy dance.
Oh, can we record that and put that on the website?
Absolutely.
Oh, I would totally put that on.
Skip would literally be the happy camper.
Hey, but there are some things you're going to have to consider is and believe me, I'm going from just knowledge here over the past years that I was out entertaining folks. And I know there's money is involved here. First of all, you're going to have to decide where is the wedding going to take place. Is it going to take place in a chapel? And if it is, there's going to be cost there. There's going to be cost for the person who performs the ceremony, and I'm sure it's going to be costly to rent that facility. Maybe the church or the chapel is just going to accept some sort of a donation. Maybe they have a scale. I don't know because I've never gone down that road. I'm sure the wedding gown can cost a lot of money, and ladies, you can
Big
probably
bucks, baby.
weigh in on
Big
that.
bucks.
Don't ask me. Mine was $80 off eBay.
Yeah. I know one thing, Lori did not help you pick that wedding gown out. If you spent $80, Deidre.
You know, I was
Hey, it was gorgeous. Thank you very much.
Do you still have it?
Absolutely. I
I
saw
do.
the pictures. It was outstanding.
You know what? I was thinking about this. You say campground weddings. What about a wedding at a camp? Like you went to like a summer camp, like when you were a kid and you met your
Oh, God.
sweetheart, and then you
Here
got
go
married
bad
there.
memories.
That would be
That would
pretty
be super
awesome.
sweet and
Like Camp
romantic.
Cucamonga, right?
Well, yeah. Well, there's this place in Georgia. It's called Rock Eagle, and me and Deidre went down there. And me and Deidre went down there as kids. Like everyone in this area goes down there for like social studies or whatever, because there's a
4-H.
yeah 4-H, and there's like an Indian burial ground there that's in the shape of a eagle. I would totally renew my vows or get married there. Oh, it is gorgeous, and that is a camp. So I could totally understand
Well,
that.
Daniel,
And
you're
they've got
starting to head
cabins.
down the right path, and
Yeah.
I admire you for that.
All right.
But if you're going to be planning a wedding, a traditional wedding, and like I says, I want to just look at the idea here that do you want to spend all this money on the traditional stuff? Or if you are into camping, like I am, you can really have just as much memories and excitement built up over the years as you can if you spent a whole lot of money. You know, another thing you have to consider too is, you know, when all this planning, and again, like Lori says, yes, someday I'm going to have to go through this. But you know, there's the cost, not only the cost of the wedding gown, you've got tux rentals and bridesmaid dresses. And the more bridesmaids and the guys who are escorting them, whatever, the groomsmen, that's what they're called, yeah. All right, you know, that's going to cost some money. Then you've got invitations you've got to consider, the cost of flowers.
Email, right? No, just email.
Wedding rings can run a whole lot of money.
$20 at the Renaissance Fair.
But hey, you know,
$10 I think for my wedding ring.
Typically, this is the father of the bride speaking here.
Typically, the parents don't buy the rings, do they?
I don't know. No one bought anything for us. We got a trip to Sears. That's what we got from my parents. They're like, hey, here's $300. Go wild at Sears.
How many guests are you going to be? How many guests are you going to be inviting? That's also a cost factor too.
Yeah.
Some people go all out. They go with rentals, the limos, the wedding photographers, that wedding cake. Like I said, that 3-tier that hit the ground. I know somebody spent some serious bucks on that.
Well, you know, Skip, the good news is with the campground wedding, the number of guests is going to be drastically diminished.
And
it depends on what kind of circles you run in.
You know, and that can be a good thing, but we'll talk about that a little bit further down the road. You know, you got to look at, too, the cost of renting the hall or the resort. You know, the open bar, that's another thing that can be very costly, especially if you have a lot of drinkers in that crowd.
Weren't you telling me
Natural light, isn't that what they drink at campground weddings?
At the campground wedding, that the people will be bringing their own booze.
They'll
bring their own booze.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Then, hey, you know, you've got to consider entertainment too. Now you could hire Daniel and I.
There you go. There we go. Hey, I just want to ask Deidre a question. At your cousin's wedding, who was the main entertainment at that wedding?
It was Daniel.
Yeah, I am the dancing fool.
Yeah, I was gonna say why.
Because I know how to dance.
Who faked his way through the Thriller?
Come on, Deidre.
I remember,
and they loved it, and they were following every move.
Is
that's
this
a long
on video
song.
by any chance?
I wish.
Unfortunately, no.
Oh man.
I could remember my grandfather dancing by himself at a wedding reception one time, and my grandmother took the car keys from him the next day.
Wasn't that a Billy Idol song?
It was.
I don't remember what it was.
Grandpa rocked before his time.
Then, do you want as your bridal suite some penthouse on top of a hotel, or would you just want your 3 or 4 person tent?
There you go.
No.
There you go, Skip.
Okay,
it's so easy to get into a wedding dress in a 3-person tent,
I'll
right?
have to disagree on the tent. If I can get into my RV, sure.
Yeah.
Or my hard side trailer.
Yeah.
You know, and then before it's all over, you know, you've got the honeymoon, and that can run into some money too. So, you know, look at it like this. You know, this can all add up very easily, and I think every one of you, especially the ladies, will agree with me. This could add up to tens of thousands of dollars.
I think the average
for a
wedding,
one big day event.
I think the average wedding runs about $40,000 or $50,000.
Man, I wish I could get like a third of that.
I know, right?
Oh, okay.
We spent 3
So straw poll.
in total.
Do I want to have my honeymoon in a nasty old tent on the ground in the woods, or do I want to go to Hawaii?
Well, you could have a nasty tent in Hawaii. I'll take that. If you'll send me there, I'll stay in a nasty tent in Hawaii.
We actually almost did stay.
Yeah, we were thinking about.
It was going to be in a cabin, but there was a place that we had looked at staying on our honeymoon that you could camp at, but they also had cabins that was run by the military base out there, I think.
Yeah.
But we ended up not doing that.
No, we got a better deal actually.
Yeah.
The tough part about this all, regardless of what kind of wedding you're going to have, whether it be one of these traditional weddings or a campground wedding, in most cases, the parents are going to be the one to pick up the tab. They're the ones that are going to be paying for everything. And especially if you've got daughters, and was I ever blessed? So, and yeah, that's one of the things you've got to consider here. But here's another thing that I also want to bring up, and I'm going from past experience. Now, maybe you two never had to deal with this, but I came from a very big family, and I know I'm not alone out there. But anytime there is a wedding in the works, chances are you're going to have encounters with close family members because everyone is going to want to have a say in what goes on at your wedding.
And honey, when you plan a camping wedding, that family is going to have a whole lot to say.
I think my family would be down with it.
Hear.
I mean, like my family, okay, let's see. I know my parents have they have a trailer, they have a pop-up. Well, that's about it. But on Deidre's side...
On my side of the family, I think they'd be cool with it because they all know...
All of them camp, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
they grew up camping. Well, everyone but Susan.
I can tell you from personal experience, and I'm sure there are some married couples out there, married campers today, that can agree with what I am saying. Planning your traditional wedding can lead to family arguments. Because
I would agree with that.
They go on, the planning
That's
process
why we eloped.
Can go on for well over a year, depending upon how deep you want to get involved in it. But I know when I was planning my wedding, there were a lot of people putting their 2 cents in. And this can also lead to threats of some people saying, well, if you're going to do it like that, count me out, I'm not going to be there.
But if they were only putting in 2 cents, I'd be like, well, come on, you can cough up more than that. I mean, it's an expensive wedding, right?
Figure of speech, Daniel.
Oh.
But believe me, I have seen that. And I know there are some families out there that can really get nasty about this. And this is another reason why I would say, make it simple. If you enjoy camping, then go ahead and go that route.
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with it because, again, you're going to have just as many memories. You are going to have just as much excitement, and it's going to be just as meaningful as it would had you had spent $30,000 to $50,000 for a wedding.
The way I always figured it, they always say, "Oh, well, the wedding's about the family," but I figure it's about 2 people. They're starting their lives together.
Deidre,
so
I'd high five you if you weren't on the other side of the campfire. All right, I agree with you on that. That is a very good
ahead,
point.
Burn your arm.
You are doing this for you and your spouse to be.
Yep.
All right. If anybody else don't like the way you have planned it, they can stay home.
And we'll just send a tacky wedding gift.
Yeah, a blender.
Awesome, so I don't have to put up with them.
Chances are you're probably not going to get anything
Tacky
anyway.
But yes,
We didn't really get much from our people.
Hey,
Now let's talk about this for a moment
Yeah.
here. Okay, let's look at getting married in front of the justice of the peace. Mm-hmm. First of all, we know that is a very inexpensive and simple way to get married. Lori, do you think that's tacky?
Yes.
Getting married in front of the JP. Hey, I
Sorry.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ooh.
All right.
Well, my mom got married by the Justice of the Peace of Monticello, but it happened to be a really gorgeous day, so they actually took her outside, and she actually got to get married in the middle of the square, and it ended up being very beautiful.
Being in law enforcement
weren't they
and
wearing their
working
costumes?
inside a county courthouse, I have attended a number of courthouse weddings, we'll call them. They weren't justices of the peace. They were judges. They were family court judges that actually performed the ceremony, and they would perform a group ceremony. It wasn't one-on-one.
Really?
Yes, you all
we
line up
spent too
right
much.
here. Okay.
You're
And
good.
say after me, okay, and everybody mumbled their own little piece, and okay, and do you accept? Hey, I marry you all. And
Okay,
a few
that's kinda
people in the audience, they clapped, and that was the end of it. I just made sure that since I was in charge of security in the courtroom, my first rule was you do not throw rice, you do not throw birdseed.
Were there any shotguns involved in these weddings?
Watch out.
I want to know if there were any shotguns involved.
And the bottom line is, when you get married in front of the justice of the peace, you're legally married when you leave the office.
So if
bottom
we
line.
never leave, we still have a chance. Is that what you're saying?
You're
Skip?
going to have very few guests there, if any, Daniel.
Skip,
You may
isn't
have
that-
a witness or two. You may have a husband and a wife, and that's about going to be the extent of it.
Isn't a JP wedding technically a civil union?
Oh,
Not necessarily.
legal talk on Happy Camper Radio.
Come on, I'm just,
because the bottom line is, before you even get married in front of the justice of the peace or a family court judge, you have to get a marriage license.
right.
All right,
but
so
it's
it is
still
legal and it's binding.
Technically a civil union. However, it is considered a marriage.
Right.
It's a
Exactly.
marriage, but it wasn't a
And
marriage
it's a
ceremony.
very cheap marriage.
I like it.
It's a very cheap way to do it.
Then go to Chili's.
Cheaper than camping?
I can say this
No.
much: if you're going to have a lot of family members upset with you because you are going that route, they don't have to be there. All right?
That's
You don't
fine
have
with
to
us.
have a reception. What I am saying is, I want to make a wedding, if I were to do it again, as exciting and memorable as possible. And definitely I
Skydiving?
would have a campground wedding.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people will be attending that.
I come
Definitely.
camping.
I'll campground wedding.
Now, I will say this about campground weddings. They're not terribly uncommon.
Ooh.
I consider
what
them.
percentage of people get married at a campground?
I don't think
people
there's
that
any
get married?
statistics on that,
10%.
Lori.
I like less than 1%.
No, it's,
But
it's
really,
bigger.
really,
Lot
what
bigger.
what
Get your
does
iPhone out,
Oh
Daniel.
yeah, let me get this straight.
really what does it matter if two
I was
people?
just curious.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. All right, they're very cost effective. I think they're simple to plan. You could do it almost overnight.
Yeah.
And again, if you're into camping, which I know, Lori, you're not, and I respect that, the memories
I
can
don't
last
respect
a
it, Lori.
lifetime.
You got to change.
Not changing.
We're going to change you, woman.
Not happening.
Now, before you even consider a campground wedding, and I came up with this little one-liner myself.
Uh-oh.
All right, the bride and groom to be must agree.
On what?
That is
The bride and groom to be must agree.
On having
If
a
you
campground
are
wedding.
going to marry the love of your life in a campground setting, the love of your life better be in love with camping as much as you are.
All right,
And be
well,
willing to
there's
say, this
another
is the
rule.
way we're going to go.
There's another rule that I like to live by. It's called happy wife, happy life.
DJ, he
And
brought this up last week.
No offense, but that trumps all rules.
Darn right.
I like
Darn.
this. We are recording, correct?
Yeah, and I'll also add too. I will also add too that last week I says, is she happy because she's working? Oh yeah. Okay.
She loves to work. I want to stay at home. Not fair.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting way off topic.
So
Tangent
anyway,
alert.
anyway, back to the subject. I can say this much, when Cindy and I got married back in 1981, she was not into camping, and if I would have suggested a
Good
campground
woman.
wedding at that time, it would have been out the window. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. So, but there are some couples out there who do enjoy the outdoors, and they enjoy camping, and they enjoy that type of environment. And I personally believe that if two people want to go that route, I see nothing wrong with it at all.
I think camping is probably coming back into more popularity. I think it maybe fell out of popularity for a while, and I think it's becoming more popular. So I think you're probably going to see
And there
more
could be a
campground
variety
weddings.
of reasons for this. With the economy being as sluggish as it is, it's very difficult for a lot of folks to actually take a vacation. I mean, the type of vacation where you buy airline tickets, you rent hotel space, you buy tickets to attractions. And we talked about that in the very early stages of this podcast, Daniel, when we were talking about what would it cost to actually get somebody camping for the first time. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket for what that type of vacation would cost.
I was thinking about this. You have a wedding, you have a honeymoon, but a camping wedding could be, you go to your destination where you want to go, like you go to Yosemite, or you go, to a state park or a federal park or wherever you'd like to go, and all your family and everything can go there, camp, a lot cheaper than a hotel. And I know in some of these areas they have group camping, so everyone could be in this one little area. And I mean, think about it. You could stay there for days on end. I mean, that's what they used to do back way long time ago where weddings lasted days and days and days. I mean, it even talks about it in the Bible. They ran out of wine because a wedding was lasting so long that Jesus was like, "Hey, let's keep this party rolling." But I mean,
Nice analogy.
I think because a wedding is just you don't really get to mingle with the people as much as you want. But when you're in a campground setting, I mean, you're doing the thing you love, and I guarantee you, if they got their butt out there, they probably love it too. And I know when I go camping with Deidre's family, we had an awesome time. We went up to Chattanooga with her aunt one time, and we hung out, talked, we ate at her place, they ate at our place. It was great. It was a lot of good fellowship, and it was a really good time. So I think it would be amazing to have a big old family, get together and talk and hang out and play games and then get married. I mean, that would just be the awesomest thing in the world.
But then you snuck away to the quilt show.
Oh. That is the most commented thing on Facebook. On my Facebook, they every year they have like an update. Yeah.
Lori.
They have an update of your top post and top commented. Yeah, the top 2 are stuff that I didn't even write. So thanks, Lori. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
I don't know, Daniel. I mean, I've seen you come over here wrapped up in some stuff before when it was cold. I don't know if Lori put you up to that or not.
I like quilts. I do like quilts.
Yes, and you already made that clear inside your camper. You don't need a sleeping bag. Give me my quilt.
Yes, quilts are the best.
I am gonna make a camping quilt for us.
See?
Ooh.
Okay.
It's gonna have an embroidered.
You jealous, Skip?
I will say this.
When you finish it, we'll have them put it on the website.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
I
in
will
5
say
years.
this now. Getting back to campground weddings, they do sound simple, but there's still some planning involved here. Because
Like
you
what?
are involving guests, you are involving family, and they will ultimately be invited for the very special day. But some things you need to consider here, and this is one thing that we definitely had to consider when my wife and I got married many years ago,
That was
and
not
that
at
is
a
your
campground.
religious denomination. All right, would your religion support the idea of you getting married outside?
Probably not.
No.
Some denominations say, well, the only place that we can marry you where the religion will identify this as a legal and binding marriage would be if you get married under the house of the Lord, you get married in this chapel or get married in the church, and no
Most
other way.
religions.
Okay, and you're probably right
Not
about
wicked.
that.
Wicked, the way to go.
This is something that you are definitely going to have to consider too. If you've got it in your blood that you're going to get married outside in a rose garden, or better yet, if you're going to get married at a campground, you may have to bring
Find
in
a
the justice of the
notary.
peace. All right, if your church does not want to marry you under those type of conditions. Now, here's another thing you're going to have to consider also. If you have a campground in mind, and I imagine when people decide that they're going to get married at a campground, most likely it's going to be a public campground as opposed to a private campground. I think because the public campgrounds are going to probably have more space available. And
Photo bombing.
and this is just my opinion on it, but you're going to have to find out the campground that you do want to get married at, will they be able to accommodate the number of guests / campers in your party? If you plan on having a big reception, is there going to be enough room for everybody? I mean, you've got to consider that too. And this is something you're probably going to have to talk over with the people who run that campground.
And don't forget, you may need a permit.
Oh, yeah.
When we were in Hawaii, if you wanted to get married anywhere outdoors, you had to make sure that you got a permit.
Oh, we got to
And-
make sure that the government
Yeah.
gets
And
wealthy off the
I-
fact that you're going to
I
get
know
married.
that,
Yeah.
I don't know if it I don't know if it has to do with if you're just shooting nature or what, but I know in Gwinnett County Parks, if you want to take pictures for profit, you have to make sure that you get a permit in order to be able to, as a professional photographer, to take your pictures so that you can make money off of it. So don't
Really?
forget about this permit.
Even though your tax dollars are paying for those parks, that they're being paid for. We
Double
got to make
dipping,
sure that
Skip.
we
Nothing
got
wrong with
to make
double
sure that
dipping.
the government gets their share. All right, I
Yeah.
understand that. All right. Here's another thing you need to consider also. Does the campground you have in mind have the desired facilities to accommodate your wedding and your wedding reception? Number one, do they have a pavilion? That's going to be first and foremost. Most of your big campgrounds are going to have some public pavilions. They're going to have some big gathering places, for when people have group campings or they have group get-togethers or even a group wedding. Do they have electricity there? And also, very important, are the restroom facilities.
That's what I was gonna say. Are they clean?
You just dig a hole.
Do you dig a hole?
We do it like you do it, Skip. Pup tents and go in the woods, right? And find some leaves.
Well, again, for most of the campgrounds that I
Pioneer
have been
style.
to, both private and public campgrounds, Daniel, I've got to admit that the restrooms are very well looked after. You've got to keep in mind that, setting all of this talk aside, they're in the business to bring campers to their facility. And if you've got lousy, unattended restrooms, that's going to drive business away. All right? And believe me, I think we have all seen our fair share, haven't we? Yes.
Unfortunately.
Of the good and the bad.
Okay, Skip, you've left out one very important thing.
Talk to me.
I'm going to. Okay, you're going to have a reception outdoors. What about bug control and the food?
Here we go. We're
Beanie
gonna,
weenies.
you think I left all of that out, didn't you?
Oh. You
no.
underestimate Skip. This is a happy camper, Lori. Come on.
I do it every day.
We'll get to that. We'll get to we do keep in mind that we are having these events outdoors as opposed to indoors. All right, but here's something that else you need to consider too. Where is the actual wedding ceremony going to take place? Is it going to be on site or off site? If it's on site, whereabouts at the campground? Is it going to be by the lake? I think that would be an awesome place to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got. Speaking
come
of that,
up from the
Daniel,
water.
Daniel,
That'd be great.
Speaking of that, and I'm gonna put this out here for all of our listeners. If you haven't already seen it, go to it on YouTube. Whenever you click onto YouTube, put in the search engine. The search engine. I get that right. Wedding
1997.
party.
Hello.
Wedding party falls in the lake.
Oh, yeah.
This.
Oh,
Is that
epic
with,
fails.
with the dock?
Oh yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Folks, if you want to have something to laugh at, Lori, I know she thought this was just terrible that this actually happened. But something, the wedding party that it happened to, they took it in stride. And basically what it was, they had, and Deidre, this wasn't very far away from here, was it?
I don't know where it was.
I think it was close by because it was on all the local news stations here whenever
boy.
yeah. But
Slow news day, that one.
you had
Right.
a big wedding party that went onto this boat ramp, and it was this ramp that approached this dock. And they went out there for a photo op, and everybody was standing on this ramp, not realizing that ramp was not designed to hold that many people. And next thing you know, the whole ramp tilts to the side. The entire wedding party goes in the lake. Folks, you've got to see it. And I'm telling you, and we're not talking that folks just in ordinary attire. The bride had her dress on. The groom had his tux on. The groomsmen had their outfits on, as well as the bridesmaids. It was funny. You've got to admit that.
Skip, put the link on Happy Camper. So
There we go.
Yeah, we could
Note
do
to
that.
self.
we can possibly do that, but anyway, that's where you can find it, and it's a very funny short video if you want to see that. But you got to keep in mind too, whereabouts is the wedding ceremony going to take place? Again, I think if I had to get married
Not
again,
on a
I would
ramp.
want to be married by the lake. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, that's my personal view.
Daniel would like the lake.
Some people may want to get married under a pine tree. I don't know.
Under a pine tree. That's romantic.
So hey,
It is Georgia.
to some people.
Right.
Now, on the other hand,
Those
there
would
may
be
be some
saps.
wedding ceremonies that take place off-site. Say there's a nearby waterfall or some scenic view. Maybe you want to have that as your backdrop for your wedding ceremony, and you get married there and return to the campground to have your reception. There's
like
nothing
Rock
wrong with
City.
that. So you're going to have to make these decisions also. And something else you want to consider too, and like Lori says, what about the bugs?
Yeah.
What do we do
What
about
about
the
the
bugs?
bugs?
Now there are ways to deal
We're
with the
talking
bugs.
about in-laws, right? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh, Daniel. You
Come on,
get it.
Skip. That was your cue for the sound effect.
No, but you're going to have those bug strips. You're going to have to come prepared for those things. You're going to have
Bug
to have
strips?
the bug spray.
The
People are
little
going to have
thing
to
you
bring
put
it.
on your lapel.
You know what
Very
I'm talking
classy.
about. They can come in a roll. The
That's not what he's
flies
talking
land
about.
on.
Bug
I think
tape.
you're going to need a little bit more than bug strips.
He's talking about
a little bit
fly paper.
Oh, fly paper.
Fly
yeah.
paper. That's it. Yes. So yeah, I mean, you're going to have to be prepared to deal with the bugs too. You're going to have bug spray to offer folks because not everybody is going to be like you and be prepared. And some people would not like bug spray with DEET on them, and I doubt
Bring
you
the
would
off.
want. Yeah, you probably would want to bring the off, or maybe that Skin So Soft product that
That works pretty good.
Some people swear by. I've never
Stuff
used
is
it before,
so
but
good.
I can tell
I
you
bought
that.
a bunch of it, and I told you to take it camping with you. You're like, no, I got my stuff.
I've got the
Here
stuff
on the Avon
designed
podcast,
for the
Lori
bugs.
says.
I used the bug spray that was designed to be used in the camping environment that I went into.
Yeah.
So yes, no, and I appreciate the offer. That was very nice of you. But
You're very welcome.
I was well prepared. Okay, here's something else you need to consider also, and this could put a wrench in your plans. You've got to consider what the campground policy is too. Is the pavilion available for rental? After you consider how many people are going to be in your wedding guest list, and accommodate that, is the pavilion going to be available for renting? And what is the campground's policy on alcohol use? There are some
That's
family
huge.
campgrounds that say alcohol is a no-no.
Called Red Solo Cups.
So and if they say no alcohol was allowed, and you've got a bunch of partiers that are looking forward to coming to your wedding
That'll-
reception, and they're
that'll
going to be
cut
drinking,
down your expense right there.
you may want to consider having your camping reception somewhere else. So that's something else that you need to also keep in mind. And do they even allow for wedding receptions? Here's some things that that you've got to consider too when you're asking a campground to accommodate you and your guests. You've got other campers who are camping and enjoying the facilities just like you. Are they going to be prone to loud music? Because I'm sure that somewhere in there you're going to have entertainment, whether it will be a band or a DJ, right? So, they're going to be able to put up with that. And then how is that reception going to affect other guests there at the campground? Here's another thing you need to be considerate of, too, and we had to do this back in 1981 when I got married. The weather. Weather is going to be a toss of the coin. So you better be prepared for the weather to turn ugly,
Yep.
the forecast not being the way you want it to be, and a contingency plan in the
you're in
event of
Hawaii.
rain.
What would a contingency plan be for a camping wedding if the weather got really bad?
To stay under the pavilion and do not step out.
No, in the tent. Skip
Yeah.
means tent. He doesn't mean pavilion.
Look at it this way, Lori.
Stay in the pub tent.
Even your traditional weddings where a bride and a groom get married at church, they would like to come out of the church afterwards before the reception and take some pictures outside. If it's raining, those plans are dampened. It's not going to happen that day.
But the whole
Yeah,
party
so-
isn't outside.
Literally dampened. Actually, I heard it's good luck if it rains on your wedding day.
It may very well be.
Is that true, Deidre? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that is an accurate superstition.
It did rain on our wedding day.
It
a little
did.
bit.
A little
Sprinkled.
bit.
It was like,
Tiny
good job.
And
Hey,
your
something else you
Golden
also want to consider too. Okay, is the guest attendance. Will your guests who are going to be attending your reception be camping there overnight? So you need to make sure that that they have enough spaces, that the campground is big enough to accommodate some fellow campers. Will some of these campers just be spending the day? And if that's the case, overall you got to look at parking too. Parking is going to be a big consideration. And what about campground activities? We talked about the kids, and sometimes the kids get very rambunctious, and especially if you've got a lake there and you've got youngsters, someone needs to keep a close eye on them. Is there going to be enough games to play? You have to consider all of this too. And it all depends, again, how many people are going to be on your guest list.
Wow, this simple camping wedding is turning into a lot of
Hey.
work.
No, I'm not talking about it turning into work. Yes, it is work, but what I'm talking about, it's inexpensive and it's very memorable for the people who love camping.
Yeah, Lori.
It's as
Come to
simple
our
as that.
side.
Yeah.
In a world.
And
where
that brings me up to
camping
this, folks,
and
here.
weddings come together.
Definitely keep it simple. All right.
Stupid. Oh, sorry.
You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a honeymoon suite.
Yes, you do.
No, you can just have
No,
the
you
honeymoon
do
there.
not.
The campground could be the honeymoon, and that's where you're saving all the money. Skip.
Your tent or your RV is
There
going
we
to
go.
be your honeymoon
There
suite.
we go. Give it the program, Lori.
You
Can I get a high
Not
five,
getting with the
Deidre?
program.
Whoop. Good job.
One of the most beautiful and memorable ends to a campground reception would be the bride and the groom dancing out there on the concrete pad, and the groom picking up the bride and having him walk across the pasture down the hill over to their tent.
Wow.
I think wouldn't
Skip
that
is
be
romantic. And we have the owl lights
Wow.
around
Of
at
course,
night.
you
Oh,
have to have the owl lights.
Skip.
Think about that.
You're planning our next
That is
wedding.
So awful. That is so horrible.
You got to consider too, your site rental cost versus a hotel accommodation.
Exactly.
Being so
Exactly.
cheap.
Look, a 3-person tent, that's 3 people. No, actually, who camps in a 3-person tent? Who gets a 3-person tent and they say, okay, yeah, 3 people, and puts 3 people
Mom,
in it?
a dad, and a kid.
Well, that's crazy. 3 people really means 1. I'm sorry, these ratings are totally skewed.
And I'm
So
not-
if you're
Daniel,
gonna pack your party into a tent,
a custom-made tent.
I know. What did we buy?
we bought like a
4-person
6-man tent or something.
Yeah, 4 to 6
It was like 4 to 6
tent for the
and
two
we're
of
like
us.
barely, like scoot over.
But you've got room for the cats.
So if you're going to do a camping thing, I wouldn't suggest, going by the recommended
Hey, and if you really want
occupancy
to,
of the tent.
hey, listen, and if you really want to impress your bride-to-be,
Oh, here we go, guys.
Yeah.
set up the tent at your campsite and decorate it with Christmas lights.
Oh, perfect. Or
Yes.
owl lights.
Oh.
Or
Put the
suckers
lights
for owl
on
lights.
it.
Skip.
Yes, I mean, just deck the place out. It's going to be her special place for the night.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's like that episode of Parks and Recreations. Where they went all camping and they set up a nice little thing with rose petals and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Rose petals, Lori? You could have rose petals in the tent.
Put some.
Oh,
hey, Daniel,
there we go.
Daniel, put some chocolate on the sleeping bag.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't care
Oh.
if you had
You got
Dom
lanterns?
Perignon in
Oh, my
there.
God, that is so
Not
romantic.
happening. Ew.
As you can tell, folks, some people in the studio here enjoy camping, others do not. But there's a lot of great benefits that come along with camping, and a lot of great benefits that would come from
Not
getting
so much.
married at a public or a private campground. And we went round and round and round today with our guests here in the studio, and I'm so glad to have them along. And I'm sure it won't be the last time that they come visiting us here at camp. But there are a lot of good benefits with this, folks. Like I say, you love camping. If you love it, what does anybody else have to say matter? It really doesn't.
It doesn't
Okay?
matter.
And other
We
benefits.
put Lori in her place today. That's what we need to come away from this. All right.
I
Daniel,
don't think so.
I really like, and here's the good thing, Dan. When your reception has ended, most of your guests are going to very simply walk to their campsite.
Exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
They're not going to be out on the road. They're not going to be drinking and
That's
driving.
safe.
No
That
walking
is
under
safe.
Going
the
to.
influence. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Hey.
When it's
it'll be all together.
time to call a night, they very simply walk down the path, go to their
And
tent,
hopefully
and
don't
call it a
fall in
night.
the lake or get eaten by a bear.
Not going to happen.
Skip, when are we opening Happy Camper wedding service? When is that happening? We need to get on this.
We have the
This is a
expert.
good
I
idea.
do love party planning.
And we
Deidre
got-
loves
There
it.
you
I
go,
think we got
Deidre.
something
This
going,
is all
Deidre.
We got a
yours,
party
baby.
planner here.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you could be the DJ. We don't have Deidre has records.
Can I
You've got skills, Skip.
can I bring my party cannon?
There, yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey, if you'd like to rent Daniel and I for your next wedding reception at your campground, okay, just get in touch with us here at the program.
There we go. Exactly.
We'll quote you a good price, and I'm sure that you have the best entertainment in town. And one another thing too, Daniel. I got to say this. Pavilions, the rentals for pavilions are going to be far cheaper than it would be renting an entire resort or even a fire hall for that matter.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to cost you all that much money to have a campground wedding versus a traditional wedding. And again, if you and your bride-to-be are in agreement, if this is something you want to do, if it's something that you are going to carry the memories on for the rest of your life, do it. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about it.
Do it.
Camping is in my blood. Camping is in Daniel's blood.
Yeah.
Deidre's blood.
She got it.
Lori, we're working on her. All right.
Camping in blood.
And like I've been saying all along, you can have just as much fun camping at a public or private campground than doing just about anything else. It's been a wonderful episode here on the Happy Camper Radio Show, and it's time now for our featured campground of the week. Okay, Daniel, we have not been to this campground before. And we haven't even really looked at their website very carefully, but I'm quite impressed. And this place is called the Sheridan Lake Campground, and it is located in South Dakota. Wow, I like this place. And, and I'm going to have it up here on our website all week long. All you've got to do is go to www.happycamperradio.com and click on the featured campground button, and there it will be. This campground is situated in a forest of ponderosa pine along the south shore of Sheridan Lake, offering lake views and access to a multitude of recreational activities, both on land and on water. Check it out on their website. A lot of great activities and amenities there. They've got a beach access. If you like bird watching, you'll love this place. They've got a boat ramp, boat rentals, campfire rings, drinking water, fishing, hiking. There you go, Daniel. You can't sit still. Lake access, a marina, picnic area, swimming. Wow.
What about
it's
weddings?
A great place
they
to
can
be.
have a wedding there, right?
Thank you, Daniel.
Well,
Wedding
you
facilities.
Could have a wedding there.
Hey, they've got a phone number here that you can go ahead and call and start asking some of those questions. And, if you're interested in doing something like that, hey, some of the things you need to know before you go. These campsites are non-electric sites. Generators may run from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. only. Daniel, I did get my generator fired up the other day, and you cannot borrow it.
Wow.
All right, so
I thought we were buddies.
All right.
So
Yeah, but hey, we are. And something else, that I wanted to go ahead and bring up here too, and I don't do it all that often, but it's going to be up to you to make sure that you check out all these, things on their website before you make your reservations to prevent the spread of tree-killing organisms and obtaining firewood at your local destination. You need to go ahead and do that. Burning it on site. You don't move your firewood from one location to the other. Don't move firewood.org. Check that out. It's on our webpage under the link section. So, you're going to have to buy your firewood locally if you're going to go ahead and camp in this particular campground. I think it's a great place to visit sometime. If you haven't already signed up for a free account, definitely go ahead and do that. It doesn't cost you a dime. Up in the upper right-hand corner, the gray button that says sign in or sign up. Do that right now. And this way, anytime you make a reservation at recreation.gov, it will make your reservation process a whole lot easier. But this is a great camping destination for you to consider if you happen to be traveling to South Dakota anytime in the near or distant future. Keep it in mind, it's Sheridan Lake, our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like for Daniel and I to feature on the program, by all means, drop us an email. You can start with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, or
Daniel at happyradiocamper.com.
And, folks, keep the fan mail coming to him. He really gets excited when he gets fan mail.
I want.
Boy, does he ever.
Oh, well, when you're famous like me, it gets rough.
Yeah, I really believe so.
It does.
Well, Deidre, And Lori, hey, thank you so very much for joining us and weighing in on our episode today.
Thanks for
we
having
talked
us.
about
was a heavy
campground weddings. And, you know, and
Thank you, Skip. And let me just say, Final Four, go Gators!
Yeah, come on, chomp chomp.
Yep, she's going
Got
back to
that right.
tailgate camping, and she's going to stay away from the campground wedding environment. I wouldn't expect anything else of her.
Absolutely,
Hey, don't forget you can catch us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, and add us to your circles on Google+. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. Daniel's a happy camper. Woohoo! Deidre's a happy camper. Lori, we're working on you. She'll be a happy camper too someday. This is Happy